active.
It's actually pretty decent. Like, it's not as bad as what I thought it would be.
I've just got it in my head that it's rank.
Nah, it's alright. Like,
I've said that to you already. The caffeine doesn't add taste. It just makes you fucking loopy.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same with Buckfast. Buckfast's got like the equivalent of like about like 6 shots of caffeine in it or something. And that's why it sends you like barmy. It's not like Buckfast itself. You know
I had this debate recently. I was talking about Buckfast. Sarah was at a works event, some fucking like festival thing, and had Fatboy Slim and that playing at it, and they had a Buckfast stand. Yeah. And she was talking about, remember when folk used to buy Buckfast and they'd always get the bottles and they'd check the number on it to see like what that was.
Yeah.
Now, I had my opinion of like what I thought it was. What would you guys say the number on the bottle meant, or what was the myth around it?
I can't even remember what. I just remember people saying about the number, but I can't even remember.
It's going to be something like arbitrary. It's not going to be like the taste or anything. It'll be something arbitrary.
So when I was young, the higher the number, the sweeter it was because it was later in the barrel or some bullshit to that effect. And the lower the number, the thicker it was or some bullshit. But I don't know.
I thought for me, I'm pretty sure I was similar, but it was the higher the number, the sweeter, the lower, the thicker. I don't know if whatever way around it was, but it just turns out it's literally just depends which machine makes the bottle.
You know what? I was going to fucking say that. I was going to say that.
I really like
it makes it. Eh?
I always drank Mad Dog instead. I couldn't. Buckfast was too sweet, but
Kyle, do you know who it is that makes it?
No, fuck no.
It's monks that make it.
Monks. It's in England, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's monks.
Which it's funny because it's like obviously well known as up here in Scotland that people drink Buckfast.
And it makes, I think I've only ever had one bottle of it ever.
I was a weirdo at that kind of teenager stage when people started drinking. I was just right into my room temperature tenants. Couldn't have it cold at the fridge. Used to hurt my teeth. Just a bit of room temperature tenants done the job for me.
Oh god! I think I drank Buckfast quite a bit. Or used to. I can picture him a bottle of Buckfast.
Who's that?
Hunter.
I nearly liked a bottle of Buckfast, eh?
I was going to say you, Dubs. I can't remember you drinking Buckfast, eh?
Hunter actually had Buckfast when we were doing it one of the last football matches. He had a bottle in the ground with him. So I had a wee taste of that.
He had a bottle when we went up to Fort William. He had a bottle of Buckfast there in the stadium when he took it into the stadium with him. I wonder if he's managed to smuggle himself some Buckfast over to Oman.
Oh man.
I think it's just a ruse so that he doesn't have to take any shit for his selection.
Sorry I don't speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun, you fucking moron.
Stuff like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron? Huh?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa.
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron. Hey, moron.
Yeah, he's made a tactical annual leave to not join us, but welcome into another episode of Morons Reviewing Movies. As you've just heard there, Hunter has decided to neglect us after he's chose a film from this week. But this week was Hunter's choice, wasn't it?
Yeah. American Psycho, yeah.
Aye.
American Psycho is the movie that Hunter chose. But I can't remember if this was his seen or unseen because the lazy bastard's not here to actually tell us. He has, however, sent me across a review that we'll come on to very shortly. American Psycho, a movie out in 2000. A wealthy New York City investment banking executive Patrick Bateman hides his alternative psychopathic... Fucking hell, this coffee's hitting me hard, guys. I should be having a beer rather than a coffee.
Or a decaf.
But I'm not going to read anymore. Hunter's not here to start us off and go first. Who would like to take the reins and talk about their experience of American Psycho?
Can I just say something before we start? Kyle, you bought the book, didn't you?
I did.
And have you started it yet?
I've done about 60 pages into it.
Right.
And then I've swiftly realised that I really need glasses. And I've struggled like fuck reading this book. I've had nothing but headaches, tiredness, can't even see the letters that I'm reading. So I'm going to go and get myself finally a pair of glasses so I can fucking read it.
Well, at least if there's one good thing that's came at the film, then it's made you realise you need glasses.
Yeah, I've really wanted to read it, and I quite enjoy a book, but I've really struggled with this one, and it's not a big book or anything. It's only about 300 pages, but yeah, it's been difficult to read. Like I'm managing like 2 or 3 pages, and I have to put it down, and I'm leaving it for a day or two before going back to it.
Disappointed. I was waiting to discuss your thoughts and the differences between the two. That's what I was excited for. Disappointed.
Well, you can talk about that with yourself since you've obviously read it.
But the thing is, Daniel, like, I don't know, I didn't really want to think about the book too much when I was watching the movie. It's only the second time I've seen the movie, and I was like, I'd like to just kind of, the first time I watched it, I think I'd already read the book as well, and I didn't think it was a patch on the book when I first watched the movie, and I was like, right, I'm going to put that to the side and I'm going to watch it again, but my feelings never really changed that much, to be fair.
Aye, I think you're right. I was the same as you. I tried to judge it as just a film on its own, because it's almost impossible to compare, because they would never have got away with the levels of violence.
Exactly.
That are in the book.
That's a big, massive thing that they'll always struggle with that. You know how obviously Trainspotting, like, they brought out like the second Trainspotting movie, and it was like 20 years after.
Mm-hmm.
I think a big element of that was the fact that so that the source material is called porno, and it's primarily they're trying to get a porn movie made or something like that, and it's like they couldn't really do that like in a film, I don't think. So it was kind of, I think they were trying to come up with another idea. That was one of the reasons I think they struggled for so long to actually make the sequel.
But I mean, with this one, this is one of those, as soon as that book came out, I'm assuming that there was a fight over trying to make it into
absolutely. Aye, and it's because it's so like slick, and that there's so much opportunity for, like, I don't know, it's such a at the time it would have been so modern and all that, because all the music and all that as well is obviously probably just no long out when the book was written and stuff as well. So
it's got that very 80s. Is it late 80s music? You would say late 80s?
I think it's mid 80s, man. I'm sure it's, Kyle would be able to look that up probably, and I'm sure the book was 84 or something. I don't think it's late 80s.
Because the only thing that made me think later in the 80s is Whitney Houston, but I don't know when maybe she's been about a lot longer than we think. Well, she must have been.
But I'm sure that, you know how obviously there's a lot of mention of music in the movie, and it goes a lot deeper than that in the book as well. And I think it was all sort of current stuff, like what was it? Is it Huey Lewis in the News? That's in Back to the Future, isn't it? And then Whitney Houston, obviously like Phil Collins. I think that is all stuff that was out at that point.
So the movie itself is set in the late 80s.
Oh, it's the late 80s.
And the book came out in 91.
Right.
That makes sense. But I think I'll just jump in then. I was like you, Dubs. I mean, who's not seen this actually?
Me.
I want to hear you say first, Ponzi, because I think we've seen it a few times, so I want to hear what is a fresh viewer for this in the year 2023, what it's like.
So this is one of the films that I'd obviously heard about but I never watched. So I think when it came through to looking for films to me to pick, I would have, if nobody else had picked, I would have picked it eventually. There's not really many of that plus points for me. Like, I just didn't enjoy this at all. Like you've obviously already touched on the music. I thought that was really good. Christian Bale came across as, like, I thought he was classing it in terms, he did come across as this really massively creepy individual. So he played the role off well, even just for, like, quite often I'll say that it's not even what he says, it's just like the looks that he gives kind of thing. So like when you're watching it at cinema, you just actually, to me, like, if somebody's trying to scare you or actually creepy as, it's not what they say that would make me feel that way. It's more with the way they look and the way they, even just simple things like their movements of their body or their hands or their, just the way they look through like their mouth or whatever. So stuff like that I thought was really good. But the script is where I think it falls down massively, is just that at the beginning when you find out about, so I was laughing when I saw Dubsy smelling there, is at the beginning when you find out about Bateman's, like, background with his fiancée and his colleagues, etc. I thought that was set quite well, and I did think the point of the narrator, him being the narrator at certain points, was good as well. You want to come in there, Dubs?
Aye, no, it's totally fine. Like you said, obviously about the script, but the only reason I know this is because obviously I had to do the trivia because
Mhm.
H is away on away working, and so it's word for word taken from the book. They haven't
Right.
changed anything, and obviously it's probably one of the best books I've ever read. But you're coming at it from a point of view of the material is the movie, and you don't like that movie. So I can totally understand why you would be like, I don't really like the dialogue or the script, if you want to call it that. So I just laughed when you said it because it's funny because it is like a really, really well thought of book. And you're like, the script was shite, and yeah, it's word for word from the book.
So with reading part of the book, it goes into an awful lot of detail describing everything. So like when I read 20, 30 pages to start with, and then I watched the movie, and it's like the opening scene of the movie is probably covers that whole 20 pages at the start because it's just so much intricate detail about the fish, the food, the people, what they're like. You get a lot of background into them quite early on, which at the start of it, I was like, God, if this is just going to describe everything really slowly, this is going to be a struggle. But I can see where
it's to show the excess of that lifestyle.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to cross.
What I was going to say is, I think it'll explain a lot more that happens in the movie towards the end. I think you probably need to have understood the book a good bit to get it, because a lot of it just kind of drops into madness.
I think Dubs has just made a great point there. What I was going to say. It's all about like the excess, and everything's got to be to the extreme with Patrick Bateman.
Yeah.
So you get quite a lot in the movie of him like describing everything down about him, like his face routine, his exercise routine, what he's wearing, and that. But in the book, it's like it makes up about a quarter of the whole book is him describing what people are wearing, right down to what socks they're wearing. Like
it's hilarious. Aye, like
actually,
obviously we discussed the music as well. There's like pages and pages like reviewing these albums and all that in the book as well.
Right.
But the interesting thing is that you talk about, Kyle, how it goes into so much detail about just the sort of the routines that he goes through, the stuff that he eats in restaurants and all that. But then as the book moves on, it starts to go into that detail about what he's doing to his victims.
Yeah.
And that's deliberate. Like, so that mundane stuff that you're talking about at the start, it's showing you how he changes from that sort of kind of yuppie character to the serial killer. But the detail and all that's still there. And it's obviously what they're trying to say is he's been corrupted by his own sort of lifestyle and job and stuff like that as well. That's the way I interpret it anyway.
There's different sort of ideas, I suppose. I'm similar to you. It's sort of, to me, it reflects on if you can get everything you want, like those people in those jobs can get, eventually you're going to want, well, what can I not have? What am I not supposed to have?
It's like what we've discussed before with fame and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? After so much of everybody telling you how great you are and you can just get whatever you want at the drop of a hat, it's like, well, what do I do next?
It's like for me, it's like I think like the points that you've made in terms of the start part of the book or the film, sorry. I think those are really well done, but maybe I didn't explain that properly. But I think for me is maybe I don't know if it's because maybe I wasn't picking up all the sort of links, or if it's through the book that you've picked this up. But once he kills Alan, to me it just falls apart completely because it's just like after he does. I know he's a serial killer, right? I get that point, but after that, for me, he's just going about in various scenes and just killing folk. Like, there's nothing. I want to actually be inside the guy's head to understand what he's feeling.
The descent is quite quick, is the point that you're trying to make. He just goes for kind of this arsehole to like a homicidal maniac.
Whereas, like, to me, it's just like scene after scene, right? He goes and shoots a woman after about the scene with the cat. He goes and kills a homeless guy and kills a dog.
Doesn't he do that before he kills Paul Allen, though, the homeless guy, no?
Yeah.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah. So, like, but I think after he's killed him, and then, sorry, I forgot about that, but it just turns into just, I want something more than just a serial killer going around killing folk and getting, picking up women for street corners, taking them home, and then try to kill folk and putting bodies into his house and that. Like, I want something that actually describes what's going on, not just bodies just lying on the ground and him with fucking chainsaws running about the house and that. Tell me why he's not why he's doing it in terms of I know he's a serial killer, but what's going through his head to make him be like that?
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. Like in terms of like, there didn't like. I've not read the book. I've seen this once before, but it was many years ago. So there was a lot of it that kind of felt like a first time watch. I understand what you're saying, Bunsey, about how like it did just feel like 1 minute you're seeing this arrogant, pompous Wall Street type guy, and then the next minute he is just a complete maniac. It's like it goes from like 0 to 100 very quickly. What I found quite interesting was that, like, when he kills a homeless guy, it's like he seems angry when he's doing it, and then from my memory, every other person he kills in the film, he's like when he kills, again, I'm terrible with names. When he kills the other guy, who he then said ended up going to London, like he was like dancing about in the background and all that, and like quite hyper, like he was excited by it almost. But this homeless guy one, it was like it was angry, and he, like the way he stabbed him and the way that he spoke to him, like it wasn't the same way that he killed the others afterwards. So like, was that his first kill, the homeless guy? Like, because I know that like it's kind of like the end leaves it into your interpretation if he's, well, this is the way I took it, if he has actually killed all these people, or if it's been in his head, or how many of it's been in his head. So like, was that homeless guy, do you think, the first official person he killed?
I thought from his reaction is that I'm sure that before he goes to kill the homeless guy, they're in the office and they've all got their business cards, and
he's raging about
getting worked up because somebody's got a better business card than him, which just again just comes across as like a wanker basically.
The irony of it is that they're all identical.
Yeah,
aye,
that's
The cards are all completely identical. I think the only time it's slightly different is the kind of closeted homosexual guy whose girlfriend Matthew Bateman's pumping. He brings out his business card and it is different.
Yeah.
But apart from that, they're all the same.
And then like you, Sean, it's like the other killings that he does, there's nothing, from what I remember, there's nothing that's like the scene before where he's getting really riled up about it, as if just
he enjoys it.
Became this mad serial killer now and he loves it. Whereas that's something I could click back to with the first one was as if it was about a business card.
I just found that weird that like it was like two completely different people. Like when he killed the homeless guy and then when he's killed everybody else in the film, it's like you can tell he's excited by it and like he's just enjoying it. I don't really know how to describe it because obviously I've never fucking killed anybody. But like in terms of like, the actual, like I agree with Bunsey in terms of like, the story. I didn't really feel like there was like an actual kind of storyline to it. You're just watching this guy just get more and more out of control. But like, I actually quite enjoyed like his character, and I quite liked the dialogue in it. Like just the way that he was. Like I could imagine that there is people like that, maybe minus the serial killing, but just people like that in their day-to-day life, just that arrogant and that pompous. I just find 100%. That fascinating that there is people like that in the world. I don't know, but I quite like the dialogue, and I did quite like him as a character. Obviously, as a character, not as a real human being. Just to get that out there. Like some of the scenes, just like his facial expressions, even when he was going through like his skincare routine, and he's just standing, just staring intently at himself in the mirror, just in love with himself. I just thought Christian Bale would just played this absolutely brilliant.
He's outstanding.
I don't think that I would. The way that you have described the book, like in the group chat, like how he goes into detail about, like I went back and I just searched American Psycho in the group chat, and Daniel was talking about it last year, and he was talking about how graphic the book was because we were meant to watch this last year. I don't know if I could read that. It kind of like turns my stomach a wee bit because the film was quite kind of gory enough. Not as gory as what I remembered it, but the book just sounds like really, really, really like just too much detail for me in terms of like there was something about, I don't know if it was actually recently you put this in or if it was the one you put in a year ago, but about like where he's like tied a lassie up and then it involves her jaw. I'm not want to say the words that you said because it's probably the way it's described in the book, but it just sounds fucking horrendous. But the book just sounds like it just definitely wouldn't be for me. Like I'm not a massive reader of that, but fuck me, I don't know if I could make it through that with in one piece basically.
I was going to say, there was one. I think I've read it more than once, but there was one time I was reading it on the transport back from work once, and I was sitting next to a woman reading this book, and I think it was a bit where, obviously in the movie where he opens the fridge and there's a severed head in the fridge.
Yeah.
There's a bit in the book where he's got 3 vaginas in the fridge.
Oh no!
And I'm sure it was that bit where I was sitting next to someone and I was like tilting the book, like just slowly, like
towards her.
Aye, exactly.
Just on that point, I think what Sean's too scared to say is the bit in the book, you'll mind, Dubs, where so they hint at a lot of the stuff, right?
Yeah.
The thing the movie does is it gives little hints to folk that like the book, saying, we know we've not put this in, but we see you. So like when he gets the coat hangers out, then it just cuts. You then get to see what he does with the coat hangers. And then you see him with a nail gun at one point.
Behind the lass's head.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the bit. This is the bit I read in the group chat.
In the book, he nail guns her to the ground and breaks her jaw. And
as secretary.
Say that again.
As secretary, he does
Can't
that.
remember exactly which murder it was.
I thought that
that's the one that he does have nail gun with. Yeah.
I thought that sort of the secretary character was kind of like bits of other folk for the book kind of rolled together.
Yeah.
Is that right? I thought
loads of victims turned into one character.
Because can he possibly include all the characters?
No.
There's another bit, Daniel, that I don't know if you were kind of alluding to, where he meets a girl in a nightclub or something like that, and then the next thing you just see him at his desk in the morning, and he's got a lock of her hair, and then he puts it in his pocket.
Yeah. Brilliant. And again, it's it's basically, I think, the director going, we can't actually show you this, but something horrible happened off screen that you can't see. You know what I mean?
Because that's the model that he ends up in the nightclub with, that says about how do you think she's asking him, do you think she's stupid or whatever, and then it rolls to the next scene. Because I was thinking, I looked away for a second thinking, if I miss some, but obviously it's just the fact that
see the thing with the chainsaw, Daniel, is that in the book?
No, I've not. It's been about 10 years since I read it. Right?
That's what I was going to say. Like you're saying about how obviously you don't know if you would enjoy the book, but that bit in the movie, to me, it's completely shoehorned in there. That isn't really in keeping with the movie, I don't think at all. Yeah, there's not that isn't really in the book either. So, I think the way that the book puts across a lot of the violence, the extreme violence, it's still like a kind of dark, like satire, like comedy.
Yeah.
No matter how bad, like he's going about at one point with like a head on the end of his cock, I think, as well.
Fucking hell.
It's like completely depraved, but what's weird, like what Dub says, is where the film falls apart a bit for me is when he gets a chainsaw out and he's on the boot and chucks a chainsaw. That's not. I don't remember that being in the book. I might be wrong.
And it's like shoehorned in from like a dreadful horror movie when this isn't really a horror movie at all.
No, it's weird.
You know what I mean? Aye.
With that scene too, how likely is it you're going to manage to like balance, like throw a chainsaw down and completely hit right in the head? Because obviously she's obviously sprinting like fuck.
No, it's impossible.
And he's like trying to balance it and think, right, I need to obviously throw it down however many steps of stairs.
And did you notice where it actually landed as well?
Like in her.
It's
like
outside.
Straight up and down.
Like unless this was like the bullet that hit JFK. Like a chainsaw, and in a chainsaw form, there's no way you can do that, especially from like 10 flights of stairs.
Is this not the part though, like where he starts to like we talked about the excess and the fantasy and always having to do more? Because for kind of having the two lassies in his room, see after he starts the killing starts, for me that to me that's just on his head, like. That none of that actually happens. He's fantasizing that that's what the excess is coming to, because it's so unrealistic that it's got to be that he's chasing that extra high. So he's done the kills, and I believe those ones have all happened. But then all this, it has to have more and more and more. But it has to be more ridiculous and more excess coming. I just assumed from that point on that the whole thing's literally a bad dream for him. Like he's sleeping. The two women are probably deep beside him, but he just slept and dreamt all of that.
So you're making it. This is interesting. This is what I was hoping the discussion would be. So, in your mind, based on the film, right? It's he's living in reality up until a certain point, then it becomes fantasy, right? And to me, I think the movie makes it too obvious from that chainsaw scene onwards that there's no way this could be happening, right? Because the lassie's running down the hallway banging on all the doors.
Nobody comes out.
And nobody comes out, that's the shit. Whereas...
And the helicopter chase and all that.
Aye.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
The police, when the cops and he's fucking... And you see when he shoots the gun and it blows the car up, he looks at the gun like, that wouldn't fucking happen.
Exactly.
And so it's a very, very obvious, whereas when I read the book, it's not really until he has the conversation with the lawyer.
Aye, exactly. That's what I was just going to say. It's the kind of stuff that you're alluding to, Kyle, doesn't really come until way, way later.
Yeah.
Aye.
Because the bits that go through it is like that. Obviously, it goes into the excess and stuff, but he's so desperate to be different, but everything's the same because all the male characters are the same. They all dress the same. They've all got the same haircut. They're all built. Everything's the exact same. And we touched on the card scene, which is probably to me one of the best scenes in the movie. It's so good watching the actor in that point.
It's pretty funny.
But everything's the same. The women are all the same. They all hate them. They're all cheating with each other. Like there's nothing that actually makes them different. So for me, him being a killer was him being different from them, but he's just chasing an extra high, and it's just got to that point where like actually I can't do anymore. He's definitely done the Paul Allen kill. The secretary looks like he's probably done, but then from there on after, it's just none, because he obviously goes back to that house and looking for the bodies that he's hung up and all that, and it's just not there.
Well, that's another thing, Bonzi. Sorry, I know you're trying to step in, but that's what I was going to say. Like the real estate agent sees right through him.
Yeah.
Like nobody else does. So even that in itself is like what? Like, but I'm sure that bit is in the book. I think that she's like, get the fuck out of here. I can't what you've been up to.
Aye. So in the book, I made it seemed like she was catching on to the fact of him being a bad bastard. Whereas in the movie, she just thought he was a psycho that was like no light in the heat. The fuck out of this house. Like,
but again, that bit in the movie is in between all this stuff that's not meant to be happening.
Aye.
That's fucking bullshit.
It pulls apart a bit at that point for me.
Yeah.
The only bit I was going to say, Kyle, is I was in agreement with you, but there was one bit that I didn't really agree with in terms of the timeline, that which I was thinking about it earlier, is that, so obviously you were saying that once after he when he has the people in his room, the two women, that's when obviously it goes a bit over the top, but he's already killed that business associate by that point, and then obviously has a conversation with who's a supposed lawyer at the end, and he's like, well, I've had dinner with him, but then the only thing I can think of after that point is he's obviously been recognised as somebody else, according to whether what's in his head and what isn't. You know, obviously throughout the film, he gets mistaken for this other guy. It's whether this person has been seen in London, supposedly, but it turns out it's actually somebody else completely too.
And that ties back into the point I was saying about they're all just one person. Doesn't matter who they are. They didn't know. They're all mates, but they didn't know who's who because it's all just mirrored people. They're all copy and paste variants of themselves.
This is the thing. The book itself is no about did this happen. It's no a murdering mystery or anything like that. It's a commentary on fucking yuppie culture and stuff, and about what you're saying, Kyle, about how they're all the same, and it's all about fucking decadence and who can get the best thing, who can get the best reservations, like who's got the best apartment and stuff like that. That's what the source material is, and the film does a fucking dreadful job at putting that across. It takes one of the best books ever written, probably, in modern times, and just puts it through in like a fucking B horror movie. It's just awful.
I could only sort of they do touch on various points about getting reservations and stuff like that. There is a recurring theme throughout it in terms of they do mention it, but like Dub says, it's not strong enough. Another thing I was going to say is that I don't know if maybe I've missed bits when I've been watching this, but see when he kills his associate, that guy,
Paul Allen.
Aye, he does kill him at his Paul Allen's house, doesn't he?
No, his own house.
Oh, is it his own house? Right, okay, that was our bit. I think I got mixed up.
Because he asked him why is there like plastic on the furniture, and then he's like, why are you in a rain mac? And then he fucking chops his head off.
But then you've also got like the bit about the stuff. So he's obviously taking that body and sticking it in the boot of a car, and he bumps into one of the guys that he knows for work, and they're like, "Oh, where did you get that bag from?" They're just so obsessed with the materialistic.
When it's
they can't see.
So clear that there's a fucking body inside it, but all they care about is the material. They're no
The other
bad.
thing too, though, is that when he's dragging him through like the lobby, there's blood on the ground, and there's meant to be there's a security person there. So like to me, I'm like
the doorman's paid to turn a blind eye to everything. Like obviously, there's doormen on all the apartment buildings as well. Like, why is he no questioning why he's bringing in hoopers, like 2 at a time and that, and then they're coming out with nosebleeds and stuff.
Yeah.
And this is early on in the movie, too. No before all this bullshit shit with the helicopters and all that starts.
Well, for me, for watching this anyway, from my experience of viewing it, is there was loads of good individual scenes. And not even loads, there's a few scenes that are really, really good that stand out for me. The fucking routine where he's doing his face and he's doing his fitness and all that. Because what a chassis the boy's got on him.
Oh, he's amazing.
Oh, unreal. And
this is also before that big lump in his nose has grown to a big grotesque mess like it is now. Christian Bale, he's an ugly bastard now with that.
I've never even noticed that before.
You'll notice it now. It's like Marlon Dingle for Emmerdale's nose growth.
Christian Bale is Marlon Dingle.
That's his next part. Like, he's got to do that. But what he's put himself through, man, that is just fucking mental. Like, so have you seen The Machinist before?
Yeah.
Like, what about you? Have you seen that take, Kyle?
Yeah. He's like, there's nothing to him.
Oh my god, there's like a picture that always comes up on the internet and stuff like that. And he's like, I mean, I'm skinny, but he's like fucking concave. He's like the moon. You know what I mean? It's just fucking bizarre. But then he's also like, he played Dick Cheney.
Big fat bastard.
Aye, and put Hundreds of Weight on for that. And then, is it American Hustle as well? He put Hundreds of Weight on for that as well. Just fucking insanity.
Just getting in shape in between. And then he was really skinny again for Thor recently. He went top skinny again. But some fucking amount to put your body through, like. But I mean, this is
you have to have a fucking screw loose to do that for your art.
In terms of what he looks like, this is peak Christian Bale. Like, this is him.
This and Batman, basically. He's at his best.
Yeah. But just a couple of you've made really good points. I quite enjoyed this chat about this film today. But
we hated the movie, but
make it sound surprising, Daniel, that you've enjoyed talking to us.
I was fucking dreading this tonight.
I just usually disagree with what you're saying. But the big thing, obviously, I find it interesting that Kyle thinks some of the murders happened and some of them didn't. Is that the same with you, Burnsy, that some murders happened, some didn't? And Sean, is that what you all think?
For me, it's like, I think talking about it's actually made me like the film more, because one of the notes I'd written was that at the end, I was just kind of like, I don't even really care that much if the murders did happen or not.
Yeah, to me, that's the exact viewpoint to take. That's the correct viewpoint to take.
But now talking about it, I have sort of built more of an opinion because obviously, Kyle mentioned that, and I was kind of like, well, I think probably now that I've realised that it was a different house, and Kyle's viewpoint makes a lot more sense, because before I was thinking it was still at this Alan's house, then that just baffled me completely. So now that he's explained that to me, then I think that possibly is what's happened, because the rest of it does seem a bit over the top, and even the thing with the police sort of trying to track him down in the planes and whatever. It's like he's at his fucking desk at his work. It's not exactly. It's not as if he's in a hideout that nobody's going to know where he is. So that was obviously that was ridiculous. The fact that at that point, so it does make a build up a more bit of sense as to what murders did happen and what murders didn't. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure what my viewpoint would be.
See, the way I've always taken it is that none of them happened. He's actually just a really dull, boring cunt. Then who folk mix him up with other people. Like, he's just another one of the fucking yuppies.
He's not actually got the courage to do any of this shit.
Aye, exactly. He's a big fucking shitebag. The only bit that I thought was real was obviously when his secretary goes and sees his notepad. I think he fantasises about doing all this shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, he is a complete psychopath and he fucking would love to do all this shit. But in reality, he's just a fucking pussy. One interesting thing is, in the book, he's very homophobic, for what I remember. Like, there's quite a lot of F-word bombs. And then I hadn't really thought about it until I watched it this time, that they sort of hint at, like, that he might be gay.
Aye, there's something happens before him and the homosexual guy have their kind of moment in the toilet. There's something else that happens in the movie. Is it talking about Yale or something like that? The school?
Yeah, everyone that goes to Yale, you know what they're like or whatever.
Aye, that's it. Aye, and I thought the exact same. I don't think I made a note about it, but I thought the same, that there's definitely, and the guy that wrote it's gay as well. You know that, eh?
Yeah, British style, sure.
No, that's aye.
Just when you mentioned, Daniel, about how you didn't think he did do them, is there was a couple of scenes where he gets interviewed by the detective or whatever. To me, it's like if you were a serial killer and a psychopath and you've got that mindset, it's to me you wouldn't be as uncomfortable getting interviewed because you would be quite confident you could get away with it. Whereas he seemed really nervous and that he could get found out straight away, I thought. I don't know if that's maybe me just overthinking it, and maybe if you were... Yeah.
I think the first time he gets interviewed, I don't think he's that nervous, and then the more times he sees him, he gets more and more nervous.
He gets worked up and thinks I'm going to get.
The thing is that I think the detective's either like just really incompetent, or he just doesn't have a very high opinion of these sort of Wall Street guys. Like he sets up another meeting to let this guy find out where he was on this night. Like if that was any sort of like authority figure, like a real policeman, they wouldn't give you all that time. Like, you know what I mean?
And I guess that builds back to the idea that he didn't actually do any of the murders because he's got an alibi. Unless he's been acknowledged as somebody else who wasn't actually at the meal or whatever they were at, because he's getting apparently.
So just to clarify my thoughts on this, when I think none of it happened, I think the Patrick Bateman character thinks the murders have happened, right? So the detective that's interviewing him does not suspect him of anything.
Right.
Do you mean? Like, he's just asking him normal mundane questions, but it's Patrick Bateman's reaction that makes it seem like the detective's suspicious of him. But in reality, he's like, there's nothing to be suspicious of. You know what I mean? He's genuinely just asking, when did you last see fucking Paul Allen? Because his wife wants to know where the fuck he is. That's all he cares.
Aye, no, he's not accusing him of fuck all.
He's not accusing him of nothing, but Patrick Bateman in his head that thinks he's been accused of all this stuff, and when he gets asked where he was, his own mind is now muddled up so much between what's reality and what's his fantasy that he doesn't know that he was just at a fucking do with all his mates. In his mind, he was away murdering Paul Allen. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So like, he gets more and more nervous the way that he's created this narrative in his head that the cop's after him. But the cop doesn't give a fuck. The cop doesn't suspect anything because there's nothing to suspect.
It's a weird one with that because he's not even a cop though. He's just a private detective, isn't he? Like, so he's probably just milking the money for these like really well-off people, and he's just like, your fucking yuppie husband's away shagging another guy, probably.
Most likely.
Because if they're all the same, they're all mirrored of each other. Like, you'd imagine it just falls in that way. It is quite funny, like with the relationships and stuff, where he cannot stand these misses. Can he stand her? And he makes subtle little comments about how he wants to kill her and all that, and obviously she's not paying attention. And then
she's just too busy planning the wedding.
He's having an affair with somebody who's exactly like his missus, but she's into fucking her drugs and her drink.
Aye, I was going to say that she seems like doped to her eyeballs all the time. The last that he's shagging. I was going to say I was actually going to mention about Reese Witherspoon as well, but I really think his secretary's brilliant. I think she's fucking amazing. She's like, she's scared of him, but she's scared of him because he's our boss, no because it's like a serial. She has no like suspicion until she looks at his daughter. Like she's no suspicion of him, even when he's like standing behind her with a nail gun and stuff. I just thought her performance was fucking brilliant, man. I don't know why.
Have you ever seen, Dubs, you'll like this actually, a show called Big Love?
I've got it on my fucking notes. I've watched bits of it, but I've never watched it like religiously or that. Well, there you go, there's a pun, religiously. But no.
You'd like that.
She's one of the wives, eh?
She's one of the wives. It's definitely up your street, that show. Like it's
I've put it on a few times and it just seems like so fucking out there. You can't see everything, man. But it was actually on Sky Atlantic recently.
Oh, nice. For those, for the rest of you, it's a film about these Mormons, like Mormon family, but multiple wives, and it's in Utah, I think, where it's fucking deep.
Where it's legal, aye. And he's obviously like a kind of. Does he start off? He's quite high up in some sort of community.
So he's quite high up in the Mormon church, and he's like a really big local business owner. He owns like the American.
He ends up being does he become a senator or something like that? No.
I don't want to go through how it all unravels, but it all there's basically internal wars in the Mormon community, and that's fucking class. Like,
yeah, but she's just, I don't know. She's very it's. I think we've discussed this before on the podcast. It's hard to be understated as an actor. I think it's doing like not much, but doing a lot. You know what I mean? It just, I don't know. She really fucking. Apart from Christian Bale, she was the best person in the movie, I thought.
Christian Bale was good. It's all the little scenes where he's talking about the music and stuff, and he's describing stuff. I think that they're probably the only bits that I really enjoyed. The rest of it, I'm sitting there like I don't enjoy this. I feel like this was something that, again, someone mentioned it earlier. I thought it was brilliant the first time I watched it, and see watching it back, I'm like,
no, it's dreadful.
Does not make sense. Let's get Hunter's thoughts since he's not here, and I'll leave his score until we get the trivia out of the way. So, American Psycho was an enjoyable second watch for this one. In my memory, I was convinced that the film ended at the exchange with the police in the street, so it was great that there was still a bit to go of the film after this.
The what? The exchange in the street?
The shooting with the cops.
Is that not like miles to go?
No, that's near then.
He thought it finished there. He put, Christian Bale is superb in this, also to capture both the comedic and psychotic traits of Patrick Bateman excellently. The soundtrack and score for this film is great. The supporting cast are great as well. One of the things that I felt was missing from the film was just to see the descent of Bateman into a psychotic character. It may be covered in the book, but I did feel it would have added a little bit more to this film. The twist at the end was great, and a film I would recommend to anyone that hasn't seen it. And if you haven't, what exactly have you been watching?
Wow.
The funny thing is, right, see if he was here, I bet he wouldn't have said all that.
No,
so you just shut out of it for like an hour.
I think that Hunter was very, very confident this would be quite universally liked.
I think all his picks been like completely like shut. Like,
aye. I feel bad for Hunter now. He really thought he picked a nail.
He should have turned it up.
A bit to listen to the episode in Oman to see how the boys have received his movie. Has anyone got anything more they want to add about this before we move on to our new trivia man and get some information about the movie?
No.
No, Sean's had enough.
That was Bonzi.
Your name flashed up on the screen there. I just assumed it was you.
Oh no, I was yawning, so it's probably picked up my yawn.
So
I've had enough. I've had enough.
Yawning, are you watching next week's movie already?
We're coming to
that. Dubs, any trivia you've got that you found that was interesting for us?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, obviously, I take it, I think we've discussed this already. Does Hunter get it from IMDb, I take it?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's like a designated section for trivia. So I went on it, and it's like, I think it's like the most popular like trivia comes up, but then there's like another like 50 for each movie as well.
Yeah.
Fuck God through all them. Like, there's no way I was going to go through all those for like a movie that I really didn't rate that highly. Like, I'll take a pot luck with like the top 4, and that'll do. So
that's what Hunter does.
I can, exactly. I bet
Hunter loads it up whilst we're talking and just reads them for the first time.
I went through the hassle of adding it to my notes and putting it in the same font and stuff like that.
Well, usually you steal about half his trivia as well, Kat. I don't think MD stole any trivia tonight.
Well, it's because he never does it half the time anyway.
I've not actually been checking that to see if any of it has been stepped on, but I don't think it has. So the first bit of trivia is actually quite topical for one of the last movies that we reviewed. I don't know if it was the last one. But looking for a way to create the character of Patrick Bateman, Christian Bale stumbled onto a Tom Cruise appearance on The Late Show with Letterman. According to co-writer and director Mary Harron, Bale saw in Cruise this intense friendliness with nothing behind the eyes. And Bale subsequently based the character of Patrick Bateman on that. Interestingly enough, Tom Cruise is actually featured in the novel. He lives in the same apartment complex as Patrick Bateman, who meets him in an elevator, and he gets the name of the movie that Tom Cruise starred in, Cocktail, from 1988, wrong, calling it Bartender.
That's interesting. I like that.
Aye, that's a good one.
I think Tom Cruise could easily be a serial killer.
Yeah, 100%.
we talked about it. Like Tom Cruise just lives in his own world. He's not an actor. He's just a simulation that goes across all movies doing the same shit.
Yeah.
Like I sat and watched. This is as bad as I've either watched 2 or 3 Mission Impossibles back to back yesterday whilst I was working. I actually can't remember if it was 2 or 3 because it's just all the same shit.
Aye, just like every other one of his films, they're all the same.
And it was like Sarah came in at one point, and it was like Tom Cruise on the screen beside Henry Cavill, and she was like fucking picked right up. Well, what are you watching with these guys in it? So it's just handsome men that beat people up and do big scary jumps.
It's funny though that thing in the trivia, like, so that bit is in quotation marks about him, this very intense friendliness. That is obviously what like Scientology, like day one, is like they teach like communication and stuff like that. And that's how they kind of get you. And that's why a lot of sort of actors and like salespeople and stuff like that got into it initially in like I don't know if it was like the 60s and 70s style. You might know a bit more than me about that.
Again, I thought it was more 80s, but I could be miles out.
Aye, so it's that very intense friendliness, but there's just nothing behind it. And that is what he's like. He's like, we were talking about the other day about that interview where he just lost it with the fucking guy talking about psychiatry and all that. But everything he puts across is like he's trying to be friendly and stuff like that, when ultimately there's just like a terrible, terrible guy behind it all. And I wish more people would see through that.
I feel like people were starting to see through it.
Aye, around that time. Aye.
Aye, and now he's come out of that.
Aye, it doesn't make sense.
He's now he's a bigger star than he's ever been. Like,
yeah, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And the people that work with him and stuff like that, I judge them instantly. Like, I don't think I would refuse to work for him with the stuff that goes on, and he's aware of it and probably fucking in control of most of it. I'm
pretty sure the Mission Impossible that's in the cinema now is doing better than Oppenheimer as well. I'm sure it's more popular.
That, like,
and it's one of those ones where it's like a part 1, and I think this one's I think it might actually be 3 parts to this.
Yeah.
Mission Impossible.
Milk it, baby.
Milk it, baby. Any more trivia you want to give us, Dubs, or do you want to get to the scoring?
No, I've got more trivia. You asked me to look up trivia. That was one bit of it.
One bit.
It took you 15 minutes to tell us it, though.
You want to do it? During the shooting of the movie, Christian Bale spoke in an American accent offset at all times. And at the wrap party, when he began to speak in his native British accent, many of the crew thought he was speaking that way as an accent for another movie. They thought he was American through the entire shoot.
Have you ever heard him speak normally?
No, I didn't know how much I believed that one either, but no, I've never heard him speak.
It's fucking weird. I'll try and find a clip and I'll send it.
Is it proper Welsh, like? Or?
He's got the thickest accent. He doesn't sound so much Welsh. I'd say he sounds more English. Like, I don't know if it's that northeast Wales. It's kind of.
I need to hear it. I need to hear it to comment on it, because the Welsh accent is fucking really, really thick. I don't know how you could possibly
change it.
Aye.
This is just because Sarah mentioned to me the other day there that he was Welsh, and I shot her down and says, "No, he's fucking English, you idiot."
He sounds English. He doesn't sound Welsh.
Right.
I'd say
it was.
Well, I've just looked in his Wikipedia there. It says he's an English actor, yet he was born in Wales.
He must have been brought up in England then, and maybe classes himself as both or something.
Aye,
one of those weirdos.
Hey, I'm half Welsh.
Aye, I'm half English, Sean, you fucking dick.
Yeah, I've got a lot of English family as well. I find that offensive.
Well,
that's
your problem, guys. No
English hatred is like the worst thing ever. It just bores me.
No, I don't hate anybody for a country. I'm just saying that if he's been brought up in one country and sees himself in another, that just would confuse me.
It's Wikipedia. Anybody can go on there and change it. It's not Christian Bale that's changed that.
You like this, Sean? There's a quote again for Wikipedia though. It says, "I was born in Wales, but I'm not Welsh. I'm English." That's direct from Christian Bale's mouth.
Has he got English parents then, or what?
I assume he just he left for Wales when he was 2 years old.
He's the exact same as me. I was born in London.
Welsh.
See, so am I English then, Sean?
Well, I would say you were born in England, so technically you're English.
You're a caveman.
That's rubbish.
But if you that's your place of birth.
Yes,
so
correct.
If you
Daniel
said
didn't
to me
choose
that you
that.
were Scottish,
Bale didn't choose that, did he?
I wouldn't fucking blink twice at that because that's what you see yourself as. But yeah, technically you were born in England.
It's a fucking bit of it's a bit of ground. It means fuck.
Well, no, I'm aware, and people can say where they're from, whatever the fuck they want. I have no issue with that. But I'm just saying that I would still say if somebody had asked me what nationality Daniel is, and we just had this conversation, and you said to me that you were English because you were born in England, I would say, oh well, he's English, but he's been up in Scotland since he was 2, so he's technically Scottish. But they're still English there.
Citizens of the world, baby.
Yeah, man.
Next piece of trivia, Dubs.
During production, Christian Bale followed the morning routine that his character Patrick Bateman describes toward the beginning of the movie. I mean, that's not really a surprise to anybody, is it? Like, he throws himself into the roles that much. So, that's not a shock. And the last bit of trivia, during the big chainsaw scene, Christian Bale would happily hang out between takes, wearing nothing but a sock over his penis and some tennis shoes.
That's interesting, right? Because I saw an interview with Matthew McConaughey, and he was talking about when he did that stripper film, Magic Mike, and he said
like he didn't know exactly what it is, Daniel.
The name of it, I know exactly what it is. So what he was saying was, he goes, that's what he was. I don't know what other actor told him to do that. He goes, but that's what you're meant to do to get into it and feel loose, is go about the set having general chit chat. Yeah. And the stud with just like your sock on or whatever.
Well, it would make you more relaxed about it. You know,
to help you sort of be more relaxed.
What about the person that you're talking to, though? I mean, if somebody came up to me and they've just got a sock covering their willy, I'd feel pretty unrelaxed. Really, why are you?
But then there's why you just wearing movies all the time and stuff. So
I suppose in that environment,
that's why they get paid shitloads of money.
Guys, I do it all the time. Why do you think I've got ankle socks?
I've got those ones that are they're like naked socks. That's like only just like your soul. That covers me.
I like pop sock.
It's got loads of room as well. Room to grow. Okay, let's get to scoring then. Will we shoot with Hunter's score first or last? What would you like?
Oh no, make it last because it's hilarious.
Okay. Burnsy, it was a first time watch for you. We'll come to you for the first score.
It's increased a wee bit, but it's still quite low. 1.75.
1.75 for Burnsy. Daniel?
It's weird because my score coming into this was a 1.75, and that's what I'm sticking with.
0.75, going up my list here that I've got. Sean?
I'm going to be a bit higher here. I'm going to give it a 3. I did fair enjoy it. Again, I've not read the book, so I can't base my viewing on a great book as what you're saying, so I'm just going to go with a 3. I did fair enjoy it.
Dubs?
Nah, not a good movie at all. So the soundtrack is outstanding, but again, a lot of that's taken from the novel, so they can't take credit for that. The movie, obviously, it's a commentary. We've discussed that, but the horror stuff that's just shoehorned in completely ruins that message that they're trying to get across. I feel like it's quite a short movie as well. I know sometimes we complain about the length of the movies, but I feel with this one it's quite short and it's quite abrupt the way it ends. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't really want it to go on any further either. So I tried really hard not to think about the book at all. Like what you're saying, Sean, obviously it's what to compare it to, but nah, it doesn't do it for me at all. And I think it's actually quite a renowned movie, and I think it doesn't deserve that at all. I don't think on its own as a standalone. So I'm 1.5.
1.5 for Dubs. I mean, I'm going to stick to this where I was going to give it to coming into this, because I do think that Christian Bale in his scenes makes a lot of it worthwhile watching, but I would cut a shitload of it out. I will score it the exact same as what Daniel scored Mega Shark versus Colossus, and I'll give it a 2. So Hunter has also given his score. Hunter has given this a 4 out of 5.
Fucking hell.
That is fucking pitiful.
Burnsy, what does that do to the overall?
A very high 2.33.
Do you want to check his maths there, or?
Well, we might need to after sitting fixing through all these scores. I'll make sure to put them in the chat again for you, Dub, so you get another read of what the scores were. A 2.33 puts this movie in between The Conjuring, 1917, and Old Boy.
Generous, very generous.
It's just because of Hunter's score.
Yeah.
If he was here, he would have downvoted it as well. You can bet.
Old Boy's criminally low on our leaderboard.
I'm sure that got like less than a 1 for Burnsy and Sean, though.
That was shite.
What did you say? Old Boy.
I love
that. That was the foreign film, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it
Yeah.
Japanese, was
it's
it?
the Korean incest. Incest movie.
Sean gave Back to the Future a 5. You thought he'd have loved that.
I know.
I was waiting on you, Kel. I knew it was coming.
I can never remember how long it's been since I've mentioned it, so I always have to just bring it up every week. But a 2.33 overall. Hunter is probably going to listen back to this. We get no apologies from us, mate. It wasn't anywhere near as good as what you thought it was. So you can suck that one up.
Brilliant.
We've all been there. We've all been there where we pick something that we really like and it gets shat on. It's not
I've not been there yet.
Not yet. But
remember when Laurie was pure nagging me to get us to watch Hotel Rwanda? And, like, that's like her favourite film. Like, she could watch that fucking like every week if she could.
And it's terrible.
She was absolutely buzzing for it. Like, I gave it like a kind of a semi-favourite, but everybody kind of shat on it, man. She was gutted. She was absolutely devastated. Like, she was even like fucking gearing out the DVD to Burnsy and all that. We were going to pass the DVD around because it wasn't even on anything to watch. Oh, wee shame.
I think I'd actually gave it more generous out of guilt because I knew it was our favourite film. So I think if I was just pure honest, it would even got a worse rating. So,
well, this is one of the ones I actually looked at yesterday when I was going through it during the project. But her score's included in the overall score for Hotel Rwanda, and that puts it to a 2.29 with her 5 that she gave it.
I've just found it here as I gave it a 2, which Sean gave it a 2.5, and the rest of you were even lower than that.
2 and 2.5 are wildly generous for that. Like, I don't
think it's that bad. I don't think it's that bad. It's got a good cast as well.
It does, I'm just amazed that it's anyone's favourite. Like,
she loves it.
A weird, obscure film about genocide in Africa. That, like, weird film would be someone's favourite. Oh, I'm going to stick that back on. Like, it just fucking blows my mind.
Very
well, you can let her know, Sean, that that Hotel Rwanda is below American Psycho on our leaderboard now.
I don't even think she's seen American Psycho. She never watched this one with me.
Did she watch the next week's with you?
She did, but she fell asleep 20 minutes in. Mind her text.
Oh, I see that.
But then she actually woke up, and I was like, and this was like, so she fell asleep 20 minutes in, and then she woke up like maybe like an hour, 10 minutes in, and I goes, was that a good sleep? She was like, what are you talking about? And I goes, you were sleeping? She goes, no, I wasn't.
Oh.
Like, by this point, I'd paused the film. I was like, what's just happened in the film? She's going, Sean, shut up, I wasn't sleeping.
And Leslie does that too. We actually have like blazing arguments about it.
That's so annoying.
I used to have to try and take pictures there, like to prove. Yeah.
That's what I've done.
What do you mean used to? Did you not send one last week to us?
No, that she wasn't pretending like that night. She just and I just went to bed and she was lying sleeping. But no, she used to fall asleep watching stuff all the time. And you know what I'm like? I like to discuss things, and she would say like, "Let's watch this together," and then just fucking wait for the count like in 5 minutes. Like, I take it as an insult, and I shouldn't, but I just.
Oh. Well, you've got all of us now, Dubs. That you're a permanent fixture here to come on and have a good bitching session about your movie.
You basically kidnapped me.
Yes, we had got you on a free transfer from Biff's Reviewing Movies. You were put up for transfer request. After you gave her a row, she put you on the transfer list and sent you off.
Yeah.
Out to your feeder club.
If we were still doing it on a volunteer basis where Dubs was coming on for any film he wanted, he would not have been on this one or next one.
Oh, absolutely no. Just obviously this was completely random, but dearie me, fucking hell. I mean, I didn't want to say anything about the other film, but Fucking
well, for those that are still listening to us, we're nearly an hour in. Next week's episode is going to be around the sequel to The Shining, Doctor Sleep. The less said about that just now, the better. Tune in next week to find out our thoughts on Doctor Sleep. As Morons do, bid you farewell. It's usually when Hunter says something like dead quirky and that. Who's going to say something quirky here to close us out?
I've got something that'll make you all laugh. He scored this film 4 out of 5. Just finish it there.
Sorry I don't speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun, you fucking moron.
Dressed up like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa!
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron. Hey, moron.
Bid you farewell and good luck, morons. Bye.